we just showed in our Roku only segment, the Rams drafting Braden Fiske out of Florida State, and Les Snead's on the phone with him to welcome him to the team. And Jared Verse, his teammate from Florida State, who was the first-round selection of the Rams, had just shown up to their draft house in time to welcome Fiske to the team. I'm getting goosebumps right now because, so cool. When college teams finish and they look around the room and they're like, this is the last time we're going to be together as a team, and you think you're never going to play with this guy again. And now the Rams are offering the chance of these two guys to play together again. And they started crying. I got goosebumps, and it's getting dusty in here.
Love it.
General manager of the Los Angeles Rams, Les Snead, joining us right here on the Rich Eisen Show. How cool was that, Les?
That was one of the, I would put it as my top moment of, let's call it making a call, being in a draft room. And like you, Rich, when you're sitting there seeing it, I definitely had water in my eyes. I'm one of those guys that somewhat probably stubbornly prides himself on not crying too much. But there was definitely some tears welling up with Sean and myself in that draft room. Now, what's neat is when you saw our content team put the video together, and then you see, we didn't get to see Braden on the other side until the content team meshed that whole video together. And wow, here comes the water again. So pretty cool moment that came together there, coincidentally, and with a little bit of intentionality as well.
What was the intentionality? What was
that? It was interesting. A lot of what is that? Friday morning, we did have the intention of trying to move up to draft Braden. We had done Jared the night before. We knew he was coming to LA. So one of my top lieutenants who coordinates our scouting, James Gladstone, had mentioned, wow, if we trade up and are able to get Braden, wouldn't it be neat if he made the call to Jared? I'm like, wow, that's cool. See if it works out. Now, with that being said, that was the last time I mentioned anything. I know James then went to Sophie Harlan, our director of football operations, who kind of coordinates the logistics. Next thing I know, we made the move. Jared's on his way, and it all works out.
It sure does. And so, but in terms of, obviously you're not making draft choices for the content. By the way, if you do, two salutes, sir. That's amazing. Speaking on behalf of somebody who's creating stuff every single day. But clearly, there is what benefit is there of taking two guys who know how to play with each other already?
The interesting thing, when we vetted both Jared and Braden, what you did learn through that process was how close they were. And with that being said, both of them were, let's call it transfers up. They were both at schools that were, let's call it not Power Five. Jared the year before to Florida State. This was his second year at Florida State. And then Braden coming from Western Michigan. So I think there was a bond there. You could tell. I mean, we learned during the vetting process that they got really, really close as they worked together, competed with each other to make each other better. And then along the way, from a collective standpoint, I think I've mentioned many a times, if you're bored and you have nothing to do, YouTube the Florida State Louisville ACC championship game. We all knew the ramifications. Florida State lost their QB. They probably weren't going to the Final Four based on that. But at the end of the day, they had this Cinderella season. And to make it worthwhile, they did need to get that ACC championship, right? And those two players, along with the 9 other defenders, I'm sure some subs, you know what, they took over that game. And it was just a fun defensive game to watch. And that's kind of what you can see, how those two learn to play off of each other throughout the year.
Now, obviously, they're different players, and there's only one Aaron Donald. But, I'll be straight up. You hit the defensive line twice to start your draft, and Donald's not there anymore. Is there any connection on this front?
I say, here's what we obviously, when we lost Aaron, we needed to help the D. That was intentionality. We've said many a times, we can't replace Aaron Donald and weren't really trying to, but we were still trying to reinforce the defense and continue playing quality defense. There was probably a joking a group text amongst some of us that did say that, you know what, you can't replace Aaron Donald with one, but maybe with two. And I know we circled back later in the draft and did a couple more let's call it front five top players, whether it was OLB defensive line in our scheme. And so, well, maybe four can replace Aaron Donald.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.